Hi guys! Today I'm going to do my review of Lord of Shadows by Cassandra Clare. If you have been following my videos, you know that for like the last 2 months I've been reading every Shadowhunter book for the very first time. So I started with City of Bones and then I read the entire Mortal Instruments series and the entire Infernal Devices series and Lady Midnight. And then after I had finished all the existing Shadowhunter books, Lord of Shadows came out, so I was right on time and I could go right on reading the newest installment in the Shadowhunter Chronicles. It's been a very emotional roller coaster ride of reading all these Shadowhunter books for the first time in like such a short amount of time. It's been like a real Shadowhunter marathon. I've been reading nothing else but Shadowhunter books for 2 months straight. And then we had Lord of Shadows, and Lord of Shadows like destroyed me. I loved Lord of Shadows so much. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I think it was an amazing book. I can't really say much about it without spoiling. So the only thing I can say for like the non-spoiler section of this review is that it is a great sequel. I think this is probably the best sequel I've ever read. Personally, I like Lord of Shadows even a little bit better than Lady Midnight. I mean, Lady Midnight was great, but this one was even better. As I said, it was a really great sequel, and even if you didn't really like Lady Midnight, I can really recommend you go on reading this because it's just really good and it really like lifts the story to another level in my opinion. I find it very hard to say which Cassandra Clare series is my favorite because I like them all, but all in different ways. For example, I really like the Mortal Instruments because it's really like the base of the whole Shadow world. It's like the base series and the others are like prequels or sequels. But I like it because that's like the beginning. And then I like the Infernal Devices because it takes place in London in Victorian times. So it's historical and it's in London, and yeah, that makes it a little bit different. And then I really like the Dark Artifices because like the quality of the writing is really improving. You can really tell that Cassandra Clare is way more comfortable in this Shadowhunter world, that she has much more experience now when you compare this book to City of Bones. The quality of the Dark Artifices series is just really good. And the writing is really compelling. But yeah, as I said, I like them all in different ways. And one of the things I like most is how these series connect with each other. Like you see characters from different series in other series, and I really enjoy that. So yeah, I basically just recommend go read the Shadowhunter Chronicles, read them in the right order. I know there are lots of videos online like which order you should read the Shadowhunter Chronicles. So yeah, basically Lord of Shadows as of right now is my favorite read of 2017. I finished it a little more than a week ago, but it's still completely on my mind. I'm thinking about it constantly. And yeah, I just really enjoyed it. And that is basically all I can say for the non-spoiler section of this review. So yeah, as of right now, I'm going to talk spoilers about the entire Shadowhunter series because I really can't talk about Lord of Shadows without talking about the other Shadowhunter books. So if you haven't read Lord of Shadows or any of the other Shadowhunter books, you should really go away right now because it's really the best when you're not spoiled. You should read them. They're amazing, go read them. But as of right now, I'm going to talk spoilers about the entire Shadowhunter Chronicles, so you should really go away if you haven't read it. And I'm also going to put this book down because it's really big and it's really heavy and I really can't hold it up the entire review. So yeah, Lord of Shadows, where do I begin? The book basically starts where Lady Midnight left off, and that is with Emma Carstairs and Julian Blackthorne being in love, but they can't be in love because they're parabatai, and when you're parabatai, it's forbidden to be in love. And in Lady Midnight, we learn that it is because of a parabatai curse. So when two parabatai are in love, it will corrupt them, it will make them very powerful, but it will turn them against their families and their friends, and it is very dangerous. So yeah, Emma learns it at the end of Lady Midnight, but then she has the brilliant idea of not telling Julian. Instead, she asks Mark Blackthorne to have a fake relationship with her, so that Julian can fall out of love with Emma, and yeah, this is basically where Lord of Shadows starts. And I actually thought it was quite cute that Emma and Mark developed this like brother-sister relationship and they could really talk to each other. I was kind of scared that maybe it would be a love triangle, but fortunately that wasn't the case. Emma and Mark are just friends, really good friends, and I really enjoyed that. I'm also just going to start off by saying that I'm not the biggest fan of Emma and Julian's relationship. I don't really actively hate it or something, but I'm just not that compelled to their relationship. I mean, they're cute together, but yeah, I think there are better relationships in the book that deserve more attention maybe. They're just not my favorite. I actually really enjoyed their friendship as Parabatai, so yeah. You knew, of course, that they would fall in love because it was very predictable in the first book. Yeah, I think they're okay together, but I'm not like massively shipping them. And I had the same with Clary and Jace. I was also not massively shipping them. I actually liked other relationships in the Mortal Instruments way more, like Alec and Magnus and Simon and Isabel. I liked them way more than I liked Clary and Jace. So yeah, the book starts off with them being very uncomfortable around each other and Emma having this fake relationship with Mark. And it also starts off with a new character, and that is Kit Herondale. And Kit is like the descendant of the lost Herondale, which you can read all about in the Tales of the Shadowhunter Academy. And I really like that Kit got to talk with Jace, because Jace of course is also an Herondale, sort of family. And Kit is now one of my favorite new characters because I like how he is the one who has knowledge of like the real mundane world. So for example, in Immortal Instruments we had Simon, who came with all like the references to films and comics. And now we have Kit, who knows all that sorts of stuff. And I just think that he's really cute, and I really like the story and his relationship with Ty, of course, but I'm going to come back to that later. But yeah, as I said at the beginning of the book, Jace is at the Institute, Clary is also at the Institute. And then we have this scene where Clary talks to Emma on the rooftop, and we learn why Clary said no when Jace asked her to marry him, and that is because she is having these weird dreams, like these weird visions, where she is sure that she's going to die. And this was right at the beginning of the book, and I was completely caught off guard because I was like, wait, what? You're going to die? So she is just talking to Emma, and she says this really calmly, and she's like, yeah, I have these visions, I'm going to die. Not I might die, but it's like I'm going to die, and she's not even questioning it. And what I thought was weird is that Emma isn't questioning it either. She's like, okay. And Clary asks Emma that when she dies, Emma should tell to Jace that Clary knew she was going to die. And I just thought it was kind of weird that Emma wasn't even questioning this. Like, you're not going to die. No, she's like, okay. Yeah, I really don't know what to think of that scene. I was like, wait, what? Is Clary going to die? What is this? And that's basically the last we hear of it. It's just like, yeah, Clary's going to die, and then the plot goes on, and I really don't know what to do with that. So yeah, in my opinion, there are like two options. Like, maybe Clary's going to sacrifice herself in some way in a later series, but she's sort of dying but not really dying. She's going to come back or something. At least that is what I hope. Or maybe she's just going to flat out die in maybe the finale of the entire Shadowhunter Chronicles. I really don't know. Yeah, even though Clary isn't my favorite character ever, I mean, I like her, but she's not my favorite character of the entire Mortal Instruments series. I really wouldn't want her to die, because that would be such a bummer, and I just like happy endings, and I don't want their happy ending to be ruined. But yeah, we're going to see where that goes. Maybe we know in the next book, but maybe we have to wait until the Wicked Powers, which is like the next series after the Dark Artifices, but yeah. So yeah, then for the plot of the book, at the beginning a delegation of Centurions of the Scolemans, I believe, arrive at the Los Angeles Institute to investigate a series of sea demons that are arriving, like also to investigate the stuff that Malcolm Fay did in the previous book. And yeah, a big group of these Centurions turn out to be very anti-Downworlder, and it was very obvious that it was like a parallel to World War II, because they were talking about a Downworlder registry and that they should wear a sign of being a Downworlder. So it was very obvious that it was like a parallel of real world events, and it was very funny to recognize that. And I think it's a really good plot because it's very interesting and it's a very relevant issue. So I think that's a good way to go with this book. So also at this point we have Christina and Diego getting back together for like 2 seconds, until Zara, one of these Centurions, goes to like, yeah, I'm Diego's fiance, and Christina is hurt, but she's getting over it quite quickly. I didn't really know why they had to get back together for like these maybe 2 chapters and then break up again, and Christina really not being that upset about it. Zara is also like the meanest one of these Centurions, and she's like the most outspoken against Downworlders, and she's like the leader of the anti-downworlder movement. Yeah, she's really not a likable character. You can hate her very easily. But I like that because I like characters you can just properly hate. Just like hating and disliking, because I think that is what makes a good book. You just sometimes need to really dislike a character. So I apologize. I know this review is going to be all over the place because yeah, it's just a big book and there's lots of stuff to talk about, but bear with me. So yeah, as I said, I wasn't the biggest fan of Emma and Julian's relationship, but let's talk about the other relationships in the book for a second. The first relationship that I thought was really cute was between Gwyn and Diana. And I just love the formal way fairies talk so much because it can be really funny at times. I mean, when Gwyn starts like flirting with Diana and he's like, "My beautiful fair lady," and it was really funny because it really didn't fit with Diana, but actually she really liked it, so I thought it was quite funny. And then of course we get the scene where we get to know Diana's secret, because it was very obvious that Diana had a secret, and that is that she is a transgender woman. And I thought it was a very beautiful scene, and I wasn't expecting it at all. I thought she would be like betraying them or something, or maybe having another dark secret, but no, I wasn't expecting this, but she turns out to be a transgender woman and she had to quit being a shadow hunter for a while to get all her treatment and her operations, but then she came back and I thought it was a really cute scene and I was like, oh, and I just wanted to give her a hug. But luckily Gwyn was there and he was super sweet and it broke my heart because it was so cute. And then of course we have the sort of love triangle between Mark, Kieran and Christina. I say it's sort of love triangle because I actually really don't know what is going on in there. So after Kieran was responsible for whipping Emma in Lady Midnight, Mark had broken up with him, but then he learned Kieran was going to be executed and he was still kind of in love with him, so he goes to Fairy to save Kieran, and then it turns out that Kieran has lost a part of his memories. So he doesn't know that Mark had broken up with him, and he doesn't know what he did to Emma and Julian. And then of course Mark is also getting feelings for Christina, and Christina is getting feelings for Mark. And I just love the very real way of portraying all these relationships. And I love that Mark said to Kieran that he doesn't know how he feels about him now, because back when he was in the Wild Hunt he needed Kieran, but now he doesn't desperately need him anymore, so can he still love him in like this way? And then suddenly there's also tension between Kieran and Christina, because when Kieran catches Mark and Christina dancing, he's like, no, wait, I'm going to show you how to properly dance with a lady. And then they have this amazing dance and I was like, what is happening right now? And I actually really started to like Kieran, because in the previous book of course you kind of hate him because he's responsible for getting Emma whipped, and besides that we don't see that much of him. But now we really get to spend a lot of time with his character and you get to know him and why he did things, and that doesn't make them right, but you can see his perspective and how he really regrets it once he gets his memories back. And again, I really love the formal way fairies talk. For example, when Kieran has this little chat with Kit when he arrives at the London Institute. We're going to talk about the London Institute in a second. But they have this little chat and Kit is like, who are you? And Kieran's like, hi, I'm Mark's lover. And Kit is thinking, I know this is the way fairies talk, but as far as I'm concerned, you're just saying, hi, I'm having sex with Mark Blackthorne. What about you? And I laughed at that so hard. And I honestly don't know who I ship between this like love triangle between Kieran, Christina and Mark, because I like them all now and I like all their relationships. Like the only outcome I would be really disappointed with is when they should all die or something, but yeah, let's not think about that. I think maybe I like Christina and Mark together the most, and that's mostly because Christina is such a great character. She's so kind and she's so brave and I love her to pieces. But yeah, I guess we'll have to wait to the next book to see how that goes, but I really like all three of them. And then of course we have Kit and Ty, and also Livvy of course, because she takes along quite a lot in this book. Kit and Ty are both so cute and so precious, and I enjoyed every single bit of them. Especially Ty, because I love how we got to see more of them and more of how he thinks, and more of how he likes to do things. And I really like this one scene when he's talking to Kit and he's like, yeah, Julie and Livvy always feel the need to protect me, but they shouldn't always have to protect me. I know how the world works and I am strong, I can handle certain things. I know I'm different, but I still can handle certain things and you don't have to protect me from everything. And Kit calls Ty autistic, and that is what I thought as well. He really displays like characteristics of the autistic spectrum, but of course nothing is confirmed, so I don't know how that works. In the shadow world, everyone who's a little bit different is always bad in their opinion, but I love how everyone is so accepting of Ty and how they find ways to help him and understand certain things. And yeah, I really love them. And Cassandra Clare just announced that Ty and Kit will be the main characters of her final or next Shadowhunter Chronicles series called The Wicked Powers, and I'm so excited for that because I can't wait to see them go on adventures. And Livvy, of course, was there also quite a lot because she has the most amazing twin relationship with Ty, and she also develops a really good friendship with Kit. But yeah, that of course all went down in the ending, but I will talk about that later. And yeah, back to the plot for a little bit. Malcolm Fade wasn't dead. Wasn't really surprised by that. I really didn't expect him to be just dead. But he comes back as like this weird sea monster thing, and he has control of all sorts of sea monsters. And yeah, so he threatens the Blackthorn family. He says he still needs his Blackthorn blood. The entire Blackthorn family goes to the London Institute, except for Arthur Blackthorn, who stays behind and sacrifices himself for his family. And I love that scene really much because it shows that even though Arthur Blackthorn was kind of mad, as they call it, he wasn't completely right in his head. He had some problems, but it really wasn't that much his fault. And he had clearer moments, and when it came to the end, he sacrificed himself for the entire family. And I thought it was amazing. And I know he wasn't the best guardian for the kids and he couldn't give them what they needed, but when it came to it, he gave his life and there's basically nothing more you can give. So I kind of expected his death at the beginning because he's not that of important of a Blackthorn, but I love the gesture and I love what he did for his family. Yeah, I just love that that was his way to go. And then Annabelle Blackthorn comes back to life, and of course she isn't happy with it because she was dead for a very long time. And she's really pissed at Malcolm and she just stabs him dead right away. Also didn't see that one coming because I thought they would be like together and they would be the villains of the entire series. But it didn't go like that. But yeah, the Blackthorns go to the London Institute. So we're back at the London Institute for a big chunk of the book and it was amazing. There were all sorts of little references to the infernal devices. Like for example when they go to the library and they're like, oh, this stupid guy named Will H has scribbled in all these books. And you're like, oh my god, Will Herondale. And Emma actually sees like where Will and Jem mark their growth. And I just thought it was so cute. And yeah, it gives back all the London feels, but in a modern time. And also, Bridget was there, alive. She was old, but she was still alive. And I don't know how that happened. I saw on Cassandra Clare's Tumblr that it will be clear how Bridget is still alive in the Lost Hour series. Bridget also delivered, in my opinion, one of the most funny lines in the entire book. So they're talking about Shadowhunter families and suddenly Bridget says, "The Herondales have always been famous for their good looks," said Bridget, "but if you ask me, the Lightwoods are the more sexually charismatic of the bunch." And then it says, "Alex spit out his tea," and I did that as well. I said this in my May wrap-up as well, but I have a feeling that there's a little less humor in this book than there is in the Mortal Instruments and the Infernal Devices series. I don't mind that too much, but I'm glad there's still some funny moments like hidden in there, because I think the humor makes it a bit lighter. Like, you need a joke every once in a while, in my opinion. And also at the London Institute, Magnus and Alex show up with their 2 kids, and it was the best thing ever. You really saw Magnus and Alex like not a technically married couple, but of course sort of a married couple. They're a family, and we see Max and Raphael, and they're super cute, and they're both amazing dads, and it was the best thing ever. I really love it when characters from the earlier series make appearance in this series, because it really connects everything and it gives you so much feelings. And yeah, I just really enjoy that. Another character we haven't talked about much is Drew. And Drew is the second youngest, and we really didn't see much of her. But now she gets a little own story arc, and that is that Jaime, I believe you pronounce it as Jaime, finds her and asks her to hide him so he can meet Christina later. And one thing I find really interesting about Drew that I haven't really heard talking about a lot is that Drew is described as a little bit rounder. Like, she isn't fat, but she's just a little bit rounder than most Shadowhunters. And she talks about how she gets a lot of negative feedback on that, how her great aunt is like, you shouldn't eat, you shouldn't do this, and how all people are staring at you when you eat something, how you feel constantly judged because you're like a little bit rounder. And that really spoke to me because I know the feeling. I'm not super fit as well. I don't know if that's only in this book or that we're going to see more of that in future books, but I liked how there was one Shadowhunter who didn't have like the perfect body, and that's okay. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. Also, didn't really know what was going on with Diego and Jaime. I just didn't really understand that plot. I expect we're going to see more of that in later books. They were kind of tricking Zara in thinking Diego was engaged to her, but they actually had like a different plan, but I wasn't actually that invested in that storyline. So at this point, Emma and Julian are away to find Annabelle Blackthorn, and they're in this cabin of Malcolm somewhere in England. And they finally talk about the Parabatai curse. I don't know what took them so long, but they finally talk about it, and I love that they were sort of open to each other because I didn't really understand the need to keep it all secret. And we also learned that Julian has found out that the Seelie Queen knows a way to break their Parabatai bond, but it includes breaking all existing Parabatai bonds and kind of erasing the Parabatai bond from existing. And of course that is terrible. And Emma is like, we're not going to do that, of course. But Julian, because he's a bit of a ambiguous character, he's like, yeah, but we can use it as a leverage. And Emma is kind of shocked at that because she's like, Julian, when we say that we do everything for each other, we know there are still limits, right? And then Julian's like, yeah, but I am pretty sure that he's completely willing to break all Parabatai bonds if that was what it took. I think Julian is a very interesting character, because at the beginning of Lady Midnight, he appears to be this very gentle, very caring character. But as Kieran already says, you are not gentle, you are ruthless. And they're kind of picking up on that in this book. He basically says, the whole world can burn as long as my family lives. And I think that is very interesting to have like a not perfect character like that. Not a perfect world-saving hero. And I can also completely understand it, because this is the boy who killed his own father when he was 12, who has raised his brother and sisters, who was there completely on his own, who has run the institute for years. And I can understand that it doesn't leave you unharmed. I can understand that it really affects him. And yeah, I think he is pretty ruthless, and I don't know if that is already the Parabatai curse that is affecting him, or if that's just his character, but I guess we'll find out. But yeah, Magnus tells Emma and Julian that they should go to Robert Lightwood and ask if one of them can be exiled to weaken the Parabatai bond. So near the end, when Annabelle is going to testify for the Clave, they go to Robert Lightwood and they're busy making a plan, and Robert Lightwood actually understands it, and he's like, we're going to talk about this, it's okay. And as I said, Annabelle is going to testify, and it looks like everything is going just fine. And at that point I was already really not trusting it, because there wasn't much book left and it looked like everything was going to be fine. So of course everything had to go wrong. So the Clave forces Annabelle to hold the mortal sword, but she has been tortured by the Clave before. So she has really bad memories of that, and she really doesn't respond well to it. So at the end she completely loses her mind, and then she stabs Robert Lightwood through the chest, and Robert Lightwood dies. Also really didn't see that one coming. And it's not like Robert Lightwood was one of my favorite characters or anything, but I just felt so sad for Alec and Isabel, and also for Raphael and Max, because they lost their father, they lost their grandfather, and he was really improving and the relationship was better. And also he was the one who was going to help Emma and Julian, and now he's just dead and all of those opportunities are gone. So if that wasn't bad enough, Annabelle also stabs Livvy in the heart, and Livvy dies as well. This happens at basically the very last page, and I was just so shocked and so confused. I was just staring, and I was, what is this? I didn't know what to do with myself. I didn't actually cry because I was just so shocked and so like, what is happening? And then it just ends. It just ends with her dying in complete chaos. And what the hell was that? And I really think that is the biggest death we ever had in one of the Shadowhunter books. Because we really got to know Livvy this book, about her bond with Ty, and we go on adventures with her, and then she's suddenly dead. And I was just like, no. And then also Emma destroys the mortal sword with her sword Cortana. And I also was completely in shock of that, because it's like one of the immortal instruments that she just broke. And other weird stuff with Cortana happens as well. For example, she kills like a rider with it, and that shouldn't be possible. So I don't know what role the sword will play in the last book. But yeah, that ending just left me completely shocked, and it still left me completely shocked, and I just still don't know what to think of it. And I just can't bear it that we have to wait 2 years for the next book, because it will be so hard. I don't know how I will stand the wait. So yeah, I think I'm going to wrap up this review, because it's probably already long enough. I probably still missed things I wanted to talk about, but yeah, it's just a very big book, and I've talked about the most important stuff, so I think I'm going to leave it here. So yeah, this was it for this video. If you read Lord of Shadows, please let me know, and let me know what you thought of it, and maybe we can cry and like heal together and have a nice little chat about it, and I would really love that. If you're new to this channel and you like this video, please go subscribe, because I would really appreciate that. You can also follow me on social media, and I will leave links to that all down below in the description box. And then hopefully I will see you in my next video. Bye!